And this gets down to, I guess, what Jim Rogers would say, which is that the Fed is immoral and should be abolished, correct?
Yeah, the Fed is very secretive, and it is controlled by the banking industry. Well, the Fed is a very secretive and immensely powerful agency that is really not accountable in our democracy. It's controlled by banking interests. It's a cooperative of banking interests, and it is in charge of the money supply of the United States. I think it's right now it's a more powerful agency than the Congress of the United States and the President of the United States. It gives out trillions of dollars created out of thin air, claims on the productive labor of the people, and it answers to no one. It will not say where that money goes. There's a lawsuit against the Fed right now by Bloomberg News Service for refusing to provide records of where all this trillions in patronage has been dispensed. The thing, to me, is absolutely monstrous because of its secrecy and unaccountability.
What about these countries like Zimbabwe and Mexico? They're very rich in mineral resources, but they've always sort of been impoverished, the people who live there. Can you talk to me about those two countries a little bit?
Well, there's all these developing countries that are indeed very rich in minerals or agricultural potential, and I think one thing that holds them back is that they are reliant on the industrial powers, and particularly the United States, for the medium of exchange, U.S. dollar in most circumstances. This puts them really under the control of the financial interests that control the dollar. The dollar has been mobilized in a vast worldwide scheme to depress commodity prices. The British economist Peter Warburton first wrote about this, I think, among all the people I think who have written about it back in 2001. And the dollar is used to suppress commodity prices, which means it's used to suppress the developing countries. You have countries like Mexico, which is really built on silver. You have countries like South Africa, Zimbabwe, which are built on gold and diamonds. Countries like Russia, which is rich in all minerals. They have become part of the International Monetary Fund, which tells them they may not link their currency to gold or really any other hard asset. Instead, they have to rely on bankers in London and Washington and New York for what they use as a medium of exchange. I think that is the formula for their impoverishment. If they were to link their currencies to the physical assets that are the natural resources of their country and make that currency convertible, they could put thousands of their own people to work basically producing their own money supply. And that would enrich themselves, and it would liberate them from the Western financial powers that are impoverishing them. And why particularly the Reserve Bank of South Africa, a country that is built on gold more than anybody else, has not realized this and has not liberated its own country? Well, to me, it's treason.
And as you said, I think that might upset the money masters in the West. You have a quote here, Hugo Salinas Price is exactly right. And you were stating that about the very issues you were just talking about. Would you mind elaborating on Hugo's position?
Yeah, Hugo Salinas Price is a businessman in Mexico. He's the president of the Mexican Civic Association for Silver. He has been leading with incredible courage a campaign to remonetize silver in Mexico, and he has a plan to put the silver ounce in Mexico, the Libertad coin, back in daily circulation and allow people to save in it. The ounce really would not be denominated in any particular number of pesos. It would really become a currency again. The National Bank in Mexico would allow it to be treated as regular government currency. And I think this would be the foremost way of enriching Mexico. Suddenly Mexico would go from a poor developing country to a very rich developing country. People wanting to deal with Mexico would perhaps want to pay in silver, would want to use silver as a currency. Mexicans would use silver as a currency among themselves. I think it would be such a boon to Mexico's economy, and it's a matter, as you said from Brian, it's a matter of sovereignty for a country to decide what it wants to use as money. Well, Mexico is very suited to using silver as money.
Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us. Obviously, people can go to GATA.org and look at you're constantly all day long putting out releases there, right, Chris?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you, Eric.
Thank you for joining us at KingWorldNews.com. Remember to tune in next week for another great show where we will have James Dines from the Dines Letter David Tice from the Federated Prudent Bear Fund, Tom Dorsey from Dorsey, Wright & Associates, as well as Bill Lagner from Bearing Asset Management. Also remember to go to our Gold Plus page for exclusive weekly interviews with Ted Butler and Gatta.